We are live this morning. Welcome everybody to Monday morning. I'm Karen Rae. This is Fave Lifestyles. We are a lifestyle brand and online magazine. You can find articles and shows at favelifestyles.com. And today we love going live with the ladies of Fave. And Brenda is one of our Fave Team of Experts and writes articles and has a live show and gives us tips and tricks on life and forgiveness. And it's just transforming us into our best selves. So welcome, Brenda. How are you today?
Hey, Karen, thanks. I love, like you just said, I love Mondays, and I love starting our day talking about like transformation and forgiveness and how we make ourselves just better in this world. I love it.
Yeah. So today our topic is knowing and loving yourself happens through forgiveness. And I'm just going to read a little bit about you so the ladies can have a little introduction here. It says, Brenda is an author, accomplished speaker, workshop leader, and personal catalyst for forgiveness. She is a master at guiding women in the process of letting go and opening their hearts to love, peace, and true freedom. I just love that. Brenda has helped hundreds of willing souls release the past and live a more vibrant life. Her vast background from navigating corporate leadership to facilitating personal transformation has made her an invaluable asset in the forgiveness field. Brenda, so forgiveness, a lot of people don't talk about forgiveness. You hear a lot about forgiveness like, oh, you're supposed to forgive and let it go and walk away.
Yep.
And as I have experienced in the last few years, forgiveness doesn't really work like that. And it is a process, and you need tools, and you need somebody to help guide you, to help you identify so many different things. So what a great place to start with for learning how to forgive yourself.
Exactly. And, when it's so funny because, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. That's my, take on it. Yet when we can't jump to forgiving ourselves first, because what happens is that, do you have those little voices in your head, right? That tell you whether you're doing this or you're doing that, and you should have done that right, and you should have done this, and what if, and so there's all these voices in our head. So we've got a judge, we've got the jury, we've got the defense attorney, we've got the victim, we've got all those in our head. And so how can we even start to forgive ourselves, right? Because it's like learning to tame those first is what can happen. And we do that by starting outside of ourselves.
Oh my goodness. So, wow. So much to kind of process there. I mean, there seems like there's so many different aspects of forgiveness. So, so what does forgiveness have to do with knowing ourselves?
So I love this because forgiveness is a process, right? And so it's all about learning our triggers and our beliefs. So forgiveness is not just saying I'm sorry, right? And forgiving a wrong. This is about where we learn how we feel versus how we have been feeling, or how we've made ourselves in a chameleon, right? To please other people. Right? You and I are familiar with that. Or why do we feel guilty when we speak up or express our feelings? Or maybe we don't even know that. And so knowing ourselves, forgiveness comes in and showing us where we have hidden, where we have denied, repressed, or rejected parts of ourselves, so that we can then show up authentically, we can show up fully. Because how many of us, as you know, going through our businesses, right? Those are the best personal development schools we could ever go through, right?
Right.
It brings everything out of our closet, our skeletons. And so forgiveness helps in finding those beliefs and patterns. And we get to figure out who's actually running our lives, right? Whose are those voices in our head versus what's authentically me.
Right. Well, and how many women do you hear at this stage in life feel that they have lost themselves?
Exactly.
And in this process of learning who you are and forgiving and becoming and transforming into that person that you want to be in this next season of life, that takes a lot of work.
Oh my gosh, it does.
Okay, so was knowing myself better. Let's see. I can't read my notes here. They're too small. We were talking about that. We need a big iPad over on the side here. So, how do we forgive ourselves when we feel we have hurt others? And I know a lot of women, we so want to, if you're a people pleaser, like I have been in the past and probably still am, and still working on that. But we always are wondering about, we don't want to hurt anybody, or if we think we've hurt somebody, maybe we have or haven't. How does that work into all of this?
I know. And that's the hard part, right? Because of that committee that I talked about that's in our head that's keeping score, right? It's like, where does this come from? Because of that, because it's harder to forgive ourselves when we've hurt others because of the patterns or the beliefs or the things that we learn, what I call a program. It's the things that we've learned. Like, for instance, Karen, don't show anger. You be the good girl, right? And wear that, don't wear this, and so we are taught how to be, and we take that on. And so it's harder to forgive ourselves, right? Because we're always outwardly focused. It's about the other person, take care of other people pleaser, taking care of others. And this wonderful little committee that we have in our head, will sabotage us into thinking that, into constantly not forgiving ourselves, because there's the guilt and the shame that keeps playing in a loop in our head when we have hurt somebody else. So, how we can forgive ourselves when we've hurt someone else is that we start with them. We see by the mirroring, right, of what's going on. So what we can do is change our thought process. Instead of being hurt, guilt, shame, right, is to go, wait a second, what are they reflecting for me? What is showing up in our lives that we may not have been conscious of? Because this is the cool thing about relationships. Relationships are for healing, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Relationships are for healing. And so if that's the case, then people are reflecting for me things that I go back to that denied, repressed, and rejected about myself that I don't know is there. It's unconscious.
And so that is like a process of learning to become aware of, is that what we're doing there?
Yes, definitely. So what we can do is we can look up and we can see what is being shown to me. So for instance, we'll use exes, right? Because you and I talk about those wonderful people. And so, with the exes, so we can get really irritated at them for certain things. Like my ex was very angry. And I tried everything I can to keep him calm and, and the household straightened and everything, just trying to be the good girl, but really trying to keep everything calm. Well, after the divorce, realizing when I went to fix the desk, the story that I tell, and I hit my thumb with the hammer, and, that hurts. But I went raging, angry, boom. I mean, I blew and I ripped this pressboard desk apart. I did not know I was that angry. So in doing this work, realizing that my ex was showing for me, he had his own stuff too, but my ex was showing for me how I had repressed my anger all my life to be the good girl, to make everything okay, that it's not good to be angry. And I was afraid of my anger. So, he was showing for me that. So how I forgive myself is I'm able to bring in the compassion when I'm looking at this going, oh, there's parts of me that were hurt and wounded and got shoved down. Not my fault, right? It was protecting myself.
Right.
Now I can see, now I can work with them. And now I can start to forgive myself and have that compassion and empathy for me.
Yes. And it's taking that focus off that other person and coming and bringing it back to you, the thing that you can actually control then.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Brilliant, right?
Yes. Well, and I know a lot of women who are in this category that, because we talk to a lot of women that where they have been taught, well, we've brought up our children. So our focus has always been on our husbands, our important people, our children or whatever. And so we're just, like you said, I was afraid to feel my feelings. There was a lot of fear around that because I'm not sure really what it was going to look like. And if I could survive feeling the feeling.
Exactly. Because we don't know, because we bury them when we're younger.
Yeah.
And so having someone to guide us through that, right, is so valuable because a lot of us didn't have the parents. Now, some of the parents today, right, my daughters, for instance, are raising their children differently. They're
Right.
encouraging those feelings. We didn't have that. Most of our generation did not have that. In fact, it was shut up, go over there, you know?
Right. And even myself, I have realized that with my sons. I'm thinking back going, I was, always telling him, to kind of suppress those feelings. Everything needed to be just so. So we actually have a couple questions here. So
Okay.
one comment that's actually really quite funny. Katie is saying my head is too small for all my committee members.
Oh my God, I love that. Thank you.
That's good. And then she's asking, how can we start realizing what we are suppressing?
That's what we were just talking about. So how we realize that is the mirror, is looking at the reflection of what's happening in my life. So it's creating awareness, Katie, around, so for instance, what we can start with is you take someone that, we'll start with irritation. It works both ways, but you start with somebody who really irritates you, who gets your goat, right? Kind of thing is like, why are they irritating? You hear their name or you see them, it just irritates you. So you just make a list. So write down 5 to 10 things that irritate you about them. What is it? Are they dismissive? Are they loud? Are they too boisterous? Do they speak their mind too much? So you write this down. And then on the other side of that, you look at where that's going on in your own life. Where are you dismissing yourself or other people? Where are you feeling like you're too loud? Because as a child, you were told to be quiet. So you're not able to voice yourself. Those are the things that are suppressed.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I mean, it shows up in our lives. It's such a cool exercise.
It
And,
is.
and it's also kind of, it doesn't feel very good because sometimes people, right, they're mean. It's like we put unkind or they're mean. Well, we have that too. We are mean to ourselves. That committee in our head, have you heard those voices? Write down what they say for a day,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
so you do that. So it's learning to own every part of us because that's what love is learning to love ourselves and other people for who they are. And that means, the good stuff and the not so good stuff. So you can also do that exercise with the positive stuff too. What do you admire about other people? Because sometimes we think other people have more than we do, right? Like I can look at you, Karen, and go, wow, she's beautiful and she's got everything together and she's got this show and she's got, this community. And it's like, oh, if I notice that in you, I have it within me.
Mm.
I don't recognize it. So we can make that list about that too.
Oh, how awesome. See, that's what I'm talking about. People don't realize that we really do need some tools sometimes just to unpack and untangle all those committee members up in there and have some structure around it. So you can apply this in different areas as you come across different people and different relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talking about relationships, does knowing myself better help in relationships?
Oh, absolutely. Like we were just talking about, and I love the flow of this. And Katie, I really appreciated your question. But it's because it's absolutely relationships, like we talked about, are for learning and growing and healing. Hollywood can give us the whole wrong idea about,
It's not like the Hallmark show.
no, unfortunately, there are some people that get the love at first sight thing, and they stay together for a long time. They get all that. But, most of us meet up with what I call wound mates. So that means that we're drawing to us and people are being drawn to us, right? We're drawn to each other that have the same kind of wounds. And we do that because it's on purpose. It's meant for us to heal together, right? But as you notice, we have some X's. So it doesn't always work out because one of us, or sometimes both of us, aren't ready for the healing. But that in itself is part of our journey, right? We learn and we grow from those relationships and situations. Because if you look at all of them, I suggest doing a relationship timeline and looking at each of your relationships and seeing what is the commonalities and what did you learn? because there's the mirror again. A lot of my work is the mirror. And then you find out what is conscious and unconscious in there, because, you're coming together. You've got two individual people coming together with your own learning journey and our own thoughts and beliefs and patterns. And so what it is it's about, we get to know ourselves better by seeing that reflection of what's going on in our lives. Right? What's being shown to us, what is unconsciously buried. And maybe, like when I got together with Doug, with my current husband, I said, hey, I want to do this differently. I want us to have this conscious relationship. And neither one of us knew what that was going to mean. So the honeymoon period was a little rocky. And, but we learned the reflection of each other to each other about how he responded and reacted, what irritated me, and what he also, like what he was good at that I wasn't, vice versa. And and so we can heal ourselves, because that's where we learn that what we've denied, repressed, and rejected. And again, there is no fault. It's not anybody's fault.
Wow. Yeah, that could be a whole series on that relationship piece.
Well, and I know, and I want to do that because it's so fascinating when we learn to do that, because we're wounded at first, right? They're wound mates, so we're wounded. And so we can bring up those wounds, but they're meant to be healing. And so when we find that person that can help us heal, it makes a total difference when we're both willing. But it takes us a lot. We got to kiss a lot of frogs to get
Yeah, Katie's has another question, and Mary, looks like Mary has joined us too. Hi, Mary. And it says, do you recommend some time between relationships to reassess ourselves?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
And most people will. Some people jump right in, and sometimes it works out, so I can't say it's for everybody. But I'm going to tell you, when I took about what you and I, Karen, have talked about this before. When I finally figured out that I was the common denominator in my 3 marriages, right? It's like the same, I kept picking the same guys, right? Same content, different package.
Yeah.
And so, I kept picking them, but I was the common denominator. When I figured that out, it was like, I need some time. Yeah. So I took for me, now they say at least a year, but I say, and that's from like the divorce date or the breakup. Right? It's like, not just because some of us are separated for quite a while, but we're still attached energetically until there's like some sort of a closing that happens.
Right.
And so I took about 18 months to 2 years before I started dating again and opening myself up. And it was pretty amazing, because then I felt more ready. So I highly suggest, whether it's a year, 18 months, I know people they freak out, right? They don't want to do that. But then it's also allowing yourselves the time, ladies, the time to know yourself and to know the other person. Like this one therapist told me, she said, Brenda, if you jump into bed with somebody right away, right? She said, you don't know who they are. And she goes, and you don't know who you are.
Right.
You don't.
And I think working, because I have worked with you, and I think that what's one of the biggest keys is that I've realized how much I needed to grow and realize who I am before I can be in a healthy relationship. And right from the kind of the get-go, I would have affirmations for myself. And one of them was, I need to be whole and healthy.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
I need to be whole and healthy within me before I can move on to have a really healthy, because I really desire to have a healthy relationship, and I know other people do too. So
and we do, and we don't know what that looks like exactly, right? And so we got to start with ourselves. And like Katie's asking, yes, give yourself some time, see what's being reflected back to you that needs to be worked on, and then we need to be in relationship to practice that. Because like when I came out of that 18 months to 2 year time period, I kind of picked the same guy again to date. Is like, but I caught it quicker. Right? So it's like, ooh, now this smells familiar. Then the second one, was like, okay, caught this one quicker. So by the time I got to my husband, I'm like, all right, I'm done with those. I'm done with that pattern and belief. And by the time for him, he showed up totally different. It was beautiful and amazing.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. But we have one more question. And also we have a comment here. It says, please do a relationship workshop.
Yes. Yes. I'm working on that now.
Yeah, so Brenda will keep us posted on her workshops and the different things that she's got going there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end too. So how does it affect me if I don't forgive someone?
Well, as we know, as we've heard anyway, a lot of us have heard that there is a lot, it's detrimental to our health. What it is when I don't forgive somebody, I'm holding energy inside myself. And so there are studies out there that show that unforgiveness actually affects our heart, and if we listen to the the Heart Math Institute is phenomenal for all the research they're doing about the heart. And they have discovered that our electromagnetic field around the heart is 60 times larger than our brain. It's like our second brain. And so what I want to really point out is that it affects us physically. And Karen, my story is about as I neglected myself, right, through the people pleasing and the heavy, heavy codependence and giving myself away, losing myself, I ended up, right, with my body breaking down. And the doctor even said that, what's going on with you? Because you're too young. I don't understand. This has got to be from stress, right, on the body. And so they even have a code now for unforgiveness because it can cause heart failure. It can cause high blood pressure. It causes depression and anxiety from the depressed emotions. And so, I ended up with that back fusion, neck fusion, and a brain tumor because I was ignoring myself. And so what we can look at is if we want proof, there are studies out there. The Mayo Clinic does a lot of them. And I want to plant a seed around this that that forgiveness is a choice. And once we can really understand that, it brings peace, right, and ease to our bodies. And so we've all gone through some horrendous and traumatic things. And so we can still forgive because when we forgive, the prisoner that it sets free really, truly is us. And when we understand that real quickly, a resentment and a grudge is like a boulder. It's like a boulder right here, ladies, in between you and me, in between me and my business, in between me and life. And you can't get through it and I can't get out. That's what that is. It's a visual for you to know that when I'm in unforgiveness, it's like right here and I can't live my life. I can't be whole and healthy, Karen. Like, you said that's an affirmation. It's so important to understand that really it weighs, ladies, come on. It's like it weighs heavy on us. We know, right? It does.
Yes.
And that reminder, it's not condoning bad behavior. I don't want people to think that. And it's not saying that what they did was right. And it's not saying that something bad didn't happen because it did. It's just saying that it has everything to do with you as the person, not the other person. It has everything to do with you because it is all about you.
Yeah. Wow. So much to unpackage here. So many different topics, relationships, forgiving ourselves and having that mirroring on us, and a wonderful little exercise that you gave us too. So Brenda, thank you so much. So I would love to end with just two things here. What do women feel, or that transformation, what would they feel by forgiving and working with you?
Well, the first thing that what I hear from the clients that I work with and the women that go to the workshops is I feel lighter, I feel freer. The biggest thing, the word that they use is peace. Brenda, I feel peace within my body, mind, and spirit. And that's what forgiveness can bring. So when doing this work, it's an amazing for lifting up our energy. It's like clean. It's like a vacuum, right? It's a vacuum is what I call it. It's vacuuming out all those dust bunnies that are hiding inside so that, the air is cleaner. We feel lighter and we feel freer. And that's the biggest thing that women do. And that they now can make decisions. They have the ability to have more clarity around who they are and what they want.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Oh, it's amazing because when we're carrying all those beliefs and those voices aren't ours all the time, right? They're from our parents or those people that had big influence on us. And so when we're able to clarify what's me, what's them, and go, don't need that. What do I feel and believe? It's powerful.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, and it looks like some of the ladies that have worked with you are commenting too. It says, Brenda, I wish I had met you long ago. You have helped me so much from, I can't read the rest, but you've helped her. And I can't I can't see who the name is because on StreamYard, they don't always tell us your name, but yes, but you have. And I have worked with you myself. And one of the things I was telling myself the other day, I am open and willing to whatever it is, to have an open heart, or to learn more about forgiveness, or to take that step and focusing on myself and doing something great for myself by going through some of your seminars, your classes, and coaching. So I am so glad that you are here to help us walk through life.
I love it. And I'm constantly learning and growing too, right? We never arrive.
Right.
And I would close with, the ladies, that if you're wondering what's stuck inside of you, because it's stuck energy. When we say we feel stuck, it's stuck energy. And what we can do is we can do a little mirror exercise where how many of us look in the mirror, then we just do our hair and we do our makeup, but we don't look in our eyes.
Oh yeah, no.
It's out there, right? Because we're afraid what's in there. We're afraid of that emotion that's there. So I just challenge the women to take 5 seconds and to look at yourself in the eye and see what comes up. Because that right there is information too. Just like the mirror reflection of someone else, we can feel it. If we get frustrated, angry, if we want to look away real quick, that's information. And when we can just jot down our feelings about that and just practice every day, just looking a little bit longer in our eyes at ourselves, you're going to find the one you've been waiting for, which is you.
Oh, that is so beautiful. You know what? I do my makeup every day. I don't look in my eyes.
I know.
Like,
I was challenged years ago to do that. I was challenged to do that. Look at yourself for start with 5 seconds and build up to 3 minutes. And then the other thing was find one thing every day that you can say that you like about yourself.
Yes. Okay.
That you're willing to like about yourself.
Yeah. There you go. What you're willing to like about yourself. We'll do a post. Okay, ladies, come Friday. We want to hear how this all goes for you. So we'll check back in and see if you're just looking at yourself, looking into your soul, and to see the beauty in you. Yes, and feel those feelings. I just love it. So Brenda, tell quickly as we wrap up here, what do you have coming up that the ladies can take part in, and how can they work with you, and what type of programs do you have?
So what's coming up too is the Illuminating Women Conference that starts this Saturday that I'll be speaking at, and it goes several days next week. So illuminatingwomen.com would be a great place to start because there's going to be some great speakers. And the other part is visiting my website, Brenda Reiss, REISS coaching.com. And that gives you information about upcoming events. I will be doing a course again. I'm going to be doing 2 things coming up. Is a masterclass that I'm going to be doing about untying the knot. And then the other self-forgiveness. And then the other one is that 5-week course. So I'm going to be doing a master class and then a 5-week course that will be coming up. So that information will be on my website by the end of this week. And then there's always one-on-one coaching if they feel like they really have some stuff they want to dive into a little deeper, very personal. And then that way they get really, we spend time together very closely and able to really look at what are those beliefs and patterns, because sometimes we need help. Sometimes we can't see it.
Yes, we can't. Yes. And that's what I just love, having you here and helping us untie those knots and becoming aware and helping us move forward. So Brenda, thanks for coming and joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate all the ladies that joined us today. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.